My name's Kathy. I'm starting to think about recording a kind of professional history of my life and the work I've done. I think there's been a constant interest in languages from a fairly young age. So in high school, I took French, German, and Latin. I learned these languages in the old-fashioned way, which was to learn a whole bunch of grammar, pretty well in isolation, and a whole lot of vocabulary. And that probably worked best for Latin, where you don't actually, it's not a living language. But it did give me a good foundation in grammar that I could transfer to English when I needed to. Um, I was in the actually late 1970s. I was living in Cambridge, England, and I had to find a job. And I made a friend who was an editor, and I'd never thought about becoming an editor. But she talked about what she did, and it sounded fantastic. It sounded like something that I might enjoy doing. So I was fortunate enough to get a job as an editor, an apprentice editor in Cambridge. Had a really good managing editor who spent a long time training me. And again, then I had to really learn my own language. I had to be able to justify every change I made. And a lot of people think that editing is mostly correcting people's grammar. That certainly wasn't my experience, because most people who write things for publication are pretty confident in writing in that way, in the structural way. So you did have to, you had to be ready to do that. But mainly editing is a kind of translation. So most of my life, I worked with academic authors, and they could write correctly, but they really wrote for other academics, and most of the time, the publication might be for grade 7 students, or it might be for first year university, or it might be for very busy health professionals who only had a few minutes to look at our publications, or for government people who might be interested in funding something at the university. So it had to translate from a sort of academic writing to a different kind of writing, and that's the main thing that editors do. And again, you have to have a very complete knowledge of your own language to be able to do that job. And I did teach editing, but it was a completely different kind of teaching from the teaching I do now. I taught editors at the University of Alberta and some other places as well. And that was present something to them. They get one chance at it, and then you move on and you do one review at the end of term, and that's what you do, because if the students don't know how to learn, then they're going to have a very hard time being editors. In fact, it would be impossible. So after being an editor, I was a communications person for about 15 years. I was an editor for about 20, communications person for about 15 years before I retired. And that was also a lot of editing, but much more writing than I'd done before. Not creative writing, fictional writing, but business writing. And working with websites in the last 10 years, especially. And I thought, in the decade before I retired, I thought for a very long time that I would like to pass on some of the knowledge, the language skills that I had acquired over my career to other people when I retired. So I've been a volunteer tutor for 6 years, ESL tutor. It's completely different. Lots more review. I'm mainly taught beginners, and it's not like teaching the editors where it's teach them once and review at the end of the term. It's teach them once, teach them again, more review. So that's been interesting, and it's not the way I learned languages all those years ago. Teach them a whole bunch of grammar. I tried that at the beginning of teaching ESL, and that just didn't work too well. So I gave that up pretty rapidly. So I've been learning a lot by trial and error, and I love my students. I love getting to know them as people. I've taught students now from the Philippines, Pakistan, Poland, Taiwan, China, South Sudan. And with every student, I learn more about their culture, how they're the same, how they're different, interesting things about them. They emerge as people. We get to know each other, and they're adults. It's a, it's not they're it's a relationship of mutual respect. And I just love all aspects of that. Um, so I've been learning things and gradually learning, I think, how to do things better. This program at the University of Manitoba has given me some more formal knowledge and I think some better strategies, and has made me really think about my teaching, and have I think it's made things better. So I'm looking forward to I have several courses to go in the program, and I'm looking forward to the start of this one and to the other ones that are coming up. Thanks.